You know that feeling when you feel like you're really up against it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a project's just completely stalled out, or a goal feels like it's miles away.
Or you're just in one of those slumps where nothing seems to go right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just part of being human, right? That feeling of being stuck.
We all get it, absolutely.
But what if those moments, those really frustrating times?
Yeah.
What if they're actually setting the stage for something
Yeah.
big?
That's a really interesting way to put it, like the quiet before a breakthrough. It speaks to how progress isn't always linear.
Right. And that's pretty much what we want to explore today. This whole idea that even when things look tough, setbacks, dips in performance, a major moment, maybe even a grand slam, could be just around the corner.
Okay, I like that. And you mentioned baseball.
Yeah, we're going to look at this through the story of Eugenio Suárez. Now, maybe you remember him from his time with the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, sure. Big power hitter.
Yeah, total powerhouse. Consistently hitting, 30-plus homers a season, driving in over 100 runs. He was a key guy for them.
Definitely. He really established himself back then as, a premier slugger in the league. That kind of production year after year is elite stuff.
But then, he got traded, went to the Seattle Mariners, and it seemed like the power numbers started to dip a bit.
Yeah, there was definitely a perception of decline. Questions started popping up.
Totally. Could he still be that same impact player? Was his best maybe behind him? A lot of people were wondering.
And that's a familiar narrative, isn't it? In sports, but really in almost any high-performance field. Success, then a struggle.
You see it everywhere. People hit a peak, then maybe level off or dip, and everyone starts speculating. And you have to imagine there's internal doubt, too.
Absolutely. That external chatter definitely gets internalized sometimes.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. So now Suárez is playing for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Right.
And just recently, he had this absolutely monster game. Hit 4 home runs.
4 in one game.
4. I mean, even he was quoted saying something like, "I never thought that was going to happen."
Wow. Okay, that's astonishing.
It was this completely sudden, almost unbelievable flash of that old power.
Hitting 4 homers in a major league game is incredibly rare. I mean, that puts him in some very, very elite company historically.
Right.
And his own surprise just highlights how unexpected it felt, even to him. It wasn't just a good game. It was like turning the clock back several years.
Exactly. It's the kind of thing that makes everyone, sit up and pay attention.
For sure.
And it makes you ask, okay, what can we learn from a comeback like that? Something so unexpected.
Yeah, what's the takeaway there?
So that's our mission for this deep dive. So let's unpack Suárez's experience. Let's see what it can maybe teach us about navigating our own challenges, bouncing back when things get tough.
I'm in. That sounds like a really worthwhile exploration. His story is, it's a pretty potent example of resilience, isn't it? And that potential for things to turn around, even after struggle.
Okay, so let's dig in. When you look at his journey, the dip, and then this huge resurgence, what sort of jumps out at you first?
Well, the first thing that strikes me is just sticking with it, Sustained effort, even when the results aren't great. Here's someone who clearly could perform at a super high level. He proved that. Then he hits a slump.
Right.
But the fact he was still playing, still competing, day in, day out, that says a lot about perseverance. It shows that even when the scoreboard isn't showing what you want, you got to keep putting in the work, keep engaging with the process.
That's a great point. It really underscores that even people who've reached the top, they face these periods of doubt too. It's not just for beginners.
No, not at all. And it's a good reminder, I think, that past success isn't just erased by current struggles. It's still part of who you are, a part of your potential.
So there's the perseverance factor. But then, boom, 4 home runs. It feels like more than just grinding it out, like something clicked.
Yeah, it does feel like a switch flipped.
Beyond just showing up every day, what else might be going on there?
Well, obviously we can't know exactly what was going on in his head or his training regimen, but we can speculate based on broader ideas. The change of scenery, for instance. Moving to the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, new team, new city.
Could be significant. You get new coaches. Maybe they offer a different insight, a slightly different technique, a new clubhouse, different teammates. That can change your whole vibe, your mindset.
It's like hitting refresh.
Exactly. Sometimes just that fresh start can break you out of a negative pattern, Think about starting a new job or even just rearranging your workspace. It can spark new energy.
That totally makes sense. I've felt that myself. Sometimes just changing your environment, even in small ways, gives you a needed boost.
Right. And if we zoom out a bit, breakthroughs like this, they rarely just happen in a vacuum. They often come after that period of consistent effort, like we said, but also adaptation. And maybe that change in external factors, the new team created the right conditions for all that underlying effort to finally pay off spectacularly.
And apparently this big game wasn't just a one-off flash in the pan. The reports suggest it put him on pace for his first 30-homer, 100 RBI season since, like, 2019.
Okay, now that's crucial. So it's not just noise, it's signal.
Seems like it.
Those 4 home runs weren't just a statistical blip. They actually seemed to signal a potential return to that earlier high-impact form.
Yeah.
Which really validates all that continued work. It suggests his core abilities hadn't just vanished. And that raises a question for you, listening right now. Can you think of times in your life where maybe one success, maybe seemingly small, actually marked a bigger shift back towards something you were capable of before?
That's really powerful to think about. It makes you reconsider those times you feel like, oh, I've lost it, or I can't get back to where I was.
Right.
Suárez's story really pushes back against that feeling of inevitable decline.
It really highlights how important it is to keep believing in your own potential, even when things aren't clicking. Even when maybe the stats or the feedback or whatever external signs aren't encouraging, that inner commitment, that belief in your underlying capability, that seems vital.
So, thinking about takeaways then, one big one seems to be about embracing the struggle, doesn't it? Seeing setbacks, not as dead ends, but maybe as detours, opportunities to learn something.
Yeah, that's basically the growth mindset, right?
Yeah.
Instead of seeing difficulty as proof you can't do something, you see it as a chance to figure out how you can. It shifts your focus from failure to problem solving.
Okay, and another one has to be self-belief, especially when, other people might be doubting you, or even just that little voice inside your own head is doubting you.
Oh, for sure. Building up that self-efficacy, that core belief you can handle things, you can succeed, it's fundamental for resilience. External validation is nice, but that internal engine, that's what keeps you going when the road gets bumpy. How do you keep your self-belief going when you hit a rough patch?
Good question. And then there's the idea of focusing on the process itself.
Ah, yes. Daily effort.
Right, the small steps, the grind, rather than just staring at some huge, maybe overwhelming final outcome way off in the distance.
That really taps into intrinsic motivation. Finding satisfaction in the work itself, in making progress, even small progress. That can sustain you when the big payoff feels really far away, or maybe isn't even guaranteed.
And maybe one more thing. Celebrating the small wins.
Definitely. Acknowledge them.
It's so easy to get discouraged if the only measuring stick is that giant ultimate goal.
Recognizing and actually appreciating that incremental progress, it fuels you. It provides that positive reinforcement, builds momentum, makes the big challenges feel less daunting because you're stringing together these smaller successes. Are you giving your own small victories enough credit? It's worth asking.
So, wrapping things up a bit. Suárez's crazy 4-homer game, it wasn't just luck, seems like.
It doesn't look like.
It looks like a product of, well, all these things we've talked about.
Yeah.
Sticking with it, adapting, maybe benefiting from a new environment, and crucially, holding on to that belief in himself even when things weren't going his way.
Exactly. It's just a really potent reminder that success rarely travels in a straight line. There are going to be ups and downs, peaks and valleys, periods where it feels like you're going backwards, but those can be followed by major breakthroughs. The key is how you navigate those valleys. Do you let them define you?
And this whole idea of perseverance, the possibility of a comeback, it's not just sports, is it?
Oh, not at all. Absolutely universal.
You see it in business.
Right.
Companies that have to totally reinvent themselves to survive.
Or artists, writers, creators who go through dry spells and then suddenly produce something incredible.
Entrepreneurs facing setback after setback for finally finding success.
It's everywhere.
It really is. The core principles, resilience, being adaptable, holding on to belief when things are tough, they apply across the board. Whatever you're pursuing, whatever challenges you're facing, that ability to hang in there and believe things can turn around, that's often the secret sauce.
So maybe the next time you feel like you're in that slump, you're stuck, feeling like maybe your best days are done, just remember Eugenio Suárez. Remember that 4-homer game that seemed to come out of nowhere?
Your own comeback, your own grand slam moment might be just one swing, one effort, one change perspective away.
It really might be closer than you think.
What could that 4-homer game look like for you? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
Thanks for joining today's chat on Your Daily English Spark. If you enjoyed this session and want to keep improving your English, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. What topic would you like us to cover next? Let me know in the comments. And don't miss our next episode, where we'll dive into mastering small talk. See you next time.